So statistically, 99% of the time, someone's telling you to trade, but you shouldn't. And 1% of the time, everything moves, but generally people can't predict when that 1% is. It'll happen when you least expect it. So trading is, in my opinion, a fool's errand. I think it's a very dangerous thing. And most people are going to squander their capital because they're going to try to outsmart the market. And I think stock picking is equally challenging. I just laid out there's 7,000 publicly traded companies. If you take out the 7 best ones, there is no return. 99.9% of the companies can't beat inflation. Okay, so we know which ones can, like Apple, Google. But the question is, did you know that 10 years ago, the reason I was able to buy 17,000 Bitcoin is because I was able to pick Google and Apple and Amazon in 2010 and hold it for a decade with a lot of money, right? But on the other hand, if you picked Amazon in the summer of 2020, you didn't make any money. You know what happened in the summer of 2020? I tell you a real story. It's like when my 3 or 4 year old niece, when she said to me, I like the Big Apple, this was like 2010 or 2008. I said, wow, it's a young girl and she's saying she likes Apple. This means Apple's a big deal. We should load up on the stock. And that was when 98% of the world, or 99% of the world, didn't agree, and they thought it was a stupid idea, and Apple was valued at like 8 times cash flow. And you could have bought it 100x from there or something, just ridiculous. But I thought, yeah, this is a good idea. And I wrote this book, The Mobile Wave, and I actually tell the story in the first chapter of The Mobile Wave about how, my young niece thought Apple was amazing. She called the Big Apple, that was the iPad. And I thought the Big Apple had been New York City, and now the Big Apple is iPad, and this is a big change in wealth. Okay, so that was a good entry point because nobody agreed, but it was unstoppable. That's what I say. The best investment is something everybody needs, nobody can stop, but nobody understands. Right? That's what Apple was. That was what Facebook was. That was what Amazon was in 2008, 2010. Now, in the summer of 2020, you know what my niece told me? She said, I'm buying Amazon stock. Everybody knows it's a winner. Because everybody's in lockdown and they're all basically ordering, like they're ordering their food in, they're ordering their groceries in. Okay, so everybody knows, every 20-something investor, every Gen Z person knows that they should buy those stocks. Well, it didn't work, right? Because everybody knew it, everybody agreed, everybody needed it, but everybody understood they needed it. And so, in fact, what you've got 36 months later is you have all the logistics challenges, the supply chain challenges, the labor challenges, the inflation challenges, the manufacturing challenges. Everybody needs it, and everybody understands it. But, if the criteria was, do you need it and do you understand it, the richest people in the world would be investors in water companies and electricity companies, because everybody in New York City needs water and power. But name me one billionaire in the 21st century that's a water billionaire or electricity billionaire, And the reason why is because everybody understands it. And once everybody understands it, it's getting regulated. And once it gets regulated, it's not an unregulated monopoly. It's a regulated monopoly. They're not going to raise their prices. And people aren't going to, they pay less for their electricity or whatever than they're going to pay for their whatever favorite streaming video thing that's the fad. So, I think that when people, they talk about, the recession's coming or whatever, they're attempting to out-stock pick the market. They're attempting to out-trade the market. They're feeding on your gloom and doom. What do they want you to do? Sell your scarce, desirable assets and buy the dollar? They want you to go short. Are you going to sell London real estate to buy the dollar? No. Or they want you to sell your desirable assets and give the money to them. It's like, I wouldn't trust anybody that basically comes to me with doom and gloom and fear and says, whatever your idea is going to zero, so give me your money. You see, the difference is, I'm not asking for your money. I'm telling you, keep it yourself. Just, don't blow it. So if all these things happen, then the governments of the world are going to print more money to solve the problem. If there's war, if there's recession, they're going to print more money and it'll drive up the value of scarce desirable assets. If none of these things happen, they're still going to print more money, right? In good years, they're going to inflate the currency supplies, and bad years, they're going to inflate the currency supply more. And, if you look back for the past 100 years, if you could have bought an acre of real estate in New York or London or Tokyo, at what point would you have sold it? Never. There would have been booms and busts and crises and recessions and whatever. But, the only winning strategy is you hold the most desirable asset for the longest period of time and you let everybody else panic sell. And I think that's the case with Bitcoin right now. I mean, you hold on to it and let everybody else, trade 7,000 different razor blades